I've been with my boyfriend Nathan for 6 years. This Thanksgiving, we visited his parents, and things took a turn when the sleeping arrangements were changed last minute. What was supposed to be a fun family trip turned into a frustrating ordeal that left me questioning everything. I, 24F, have been with my boyfriend Nathan, 26M, for 6 years. This Thanksgiving, we visited his parents, Mary and John. Nathan is one of 4 brothers: Alex, single; Jack, married to Jill; Nathan, me, and Luke, married to Millie, with a toddler. Everyone lives out of state except Luke and Millie. Nathan and I had the longest drive, 9 hours. The issue is the sleeping arrangement. There are only 2 guest bedrooms, so with 3 couples visiting, someone always ends up on the air mattress in the hallway. The first year I visited, I was told the sleeping arrangements would rotate to keep things fair. But after 3 years of always being on the air mattress, we were told it's now first come, first serve. Since Nathan's job limits his time off, we usually arrive last and accept the air mattress. Frustrating, but fair enough. This year was different. Nathan and I had time off starting Monday and would arrive first. I spoke to Mary beforehand and confirmed we'd finally get a room. She laughed and said, "Yep, first come, first serve." Millie and I were excited to arrive early and hang out. Millie would take the queen room with Luke, and Nathan and I would have the twin room. However, the day we left, Millie texted me that plans had changed. Luke had found out from Mary that Jack and Jill, arriving a day after us, were being given the queen room, and Luke and Millie the twin, meaning Nathan and I, were on the air mattress again. Luke pushed back and reminded her of the first come, first serve rule, but she suddenly denied ever saying it and claimed Jack and Jill should get a room because they were staying an extra day. That excuse felt flimsy, especially since they were arriving later than us. When we arrived, Nathan brought it up again. Mary got defensive and said she didn't remember making that rule. I made a few sarcastic comments out of frustration, pointing out how the rules only seemed to apply until they inconvenienced Jill. I mentioned that we had to board our dogs and make the long drive early specifically to avoid this, and Mary had multiple chances to communicate any change in plans. Mary got increasingly snippy, and we felt shut down and a little targeted. Update. I feel like I might have let some of you down based on the advice I got, but here's how things played out. On Monday night, Nathan spoke with his mom, and we were allowed to use the bed for just one night before Jack and Jill arrived. At first, Mary suggested we could move the air mattress into the bedroom, but Nathan pointed out how unfair it was to sleep on an air mattress when an actual bed was empty. The next morning, while Nathan ran errands in our old neighborhood, I took the initiative to wash and remake the bed, even though Luke and Millie said I didn't need to. I know Mary prefers the sheets washed between guests, so I did it out of respect. Luke and Millie kindly offered to switch rooms with us, but for me, this wasn't just about the bed. It was about broken promises, years of rules being ignored when they didn't suit certain people, and the gaslighting when we asked about it. Mary had many opportunities to tell us beforehand but chose not to. We also didn't want Luke and Millie, especially Millie, to be uncomfortable on the air mattress. She's a mom of a toddler, and I know how hard that can be on the body. So, we compromised by moving the air mattress into their room. It had a heater and offered more privacy than the hallway. We focused on enjoying the holiday despite everything. Later, Mary mentioned plans to buy 2 pull-out couches, one for the hallway and one for the twin room. While thoughtful, it still didn't fix the issue of her changing rules when it suited others. Mary has promised us a room for Christmas, and if that falls through, we've agreed not to stay there again. We'll go but stay in a hotel instead since it's Luke and Millie's son's birthday. As for next Thanksgiving, if there's no room, we're staying home. But the exciting news is Nathan and I are house hunting, and Luke and Millie already said they'd love to come if we host future holidays. Millie and I are both passionate bakers and cooks, so the idea of us hosting makes the whole situation feel more hopeful even if no one touches our food but us and our guys. We're also planning to visit Luke and Millie more often. They're thinking about moving closer to the parents, and if they end up hosting holidays in the future, we'll always have a guaranteed spot at their place. A few common questions from the last post. Alex, he doesn't come for Thanksgiving, he saves all his time off for Christmas. He's only had to use the air mattress once, and that was for Luke and Millie's wedding. When all 4 brothers used to be home for the holidays, it was typically Alex in the twin room, Luke, before his marriage, on the air mattress in that room, Nathan and me in the hallway, and Jack and Jill in the queen room. Hotel, the house is in a remote area, and the nearest decent hotel is 45 minutes to an hour away. The main appeal of being there is spending quality time with everyone, late nights with board games, D&D, and drinks. We used to do a drunk gingerbread house contest. Staying in a hotel would mean missing out, and there are no Ubers around. Plus, back when we lived closer and stayed fewer days, sleeping on the air mattress for a couple nights felt fine and fair. This year, though, we didn't book a hotel after everything happened because we're saving for a house and a wedding. Like many others, we're just trying to manage in this economy with unexpected costs popping up. Millie and Luke, they live in the same state, just barely. It's not realistic for us to stay at their place, and Millie's parents' home isn't an option either. She doesn't have a good relationship with her mom and only stays in touch for the sake of her child. There's also no space there anyway. Mary, this whole situation was very out of character for her. Normally, the only person people have friction with is John. Mary's always been the one pushing to bring the family together and does a lot to make the holidays happen. Luke suspects this change came from John, and Mary just had to deliver the message. That would make sense because she usually cares deeply about fairness and hasn't caused problems in the past except when pushed by John. His reaction when he found out we stayed in the bedroom for even one night seemed to confirm that theory. Honestly, before this, Mary was one of the few people I would have said I'd take a bullet for. She's usually that kind and thoughtful. Jack and Jill, most of the family has had issues with them. At previous holidays, they've gotten upset when we voted on where to eat and didn't choose their preference. They ended up refusing to join us. Jill tends to be the one behind the drama. For example, this year, Millie asked to use their room to play a board game while she was on the phone with her sister, because our room was too cramped with the air mattress. Jill flat out refused and said either we played in our room or not at all. They're also the reason we have to board our dogs. Their dog is aggressive, and with a toddler around, it's not safe. But when Jack and Jill don't attend, we're allowed to bring our pets. Chronic illness pregnancy, Jill is not pregnant, and Millie is the one with ongoing chronic health issues that are still being diagnosed. Jill used to be on the heavier side but has lost a lot of weight over the past 3 years. I struggle with insomnia, and both Millie and I have bipolar disorder and endometriosis. That's especially tough around the holidays, as my symptoms tend to flare with my period. Relevant comments. OOP on what might happen if she and Nathan are married with a baby. She wonders what would happen if she and Nathan were married and had a child. Would they still be expected to sleep on an air mattress if Mary invited them to visit? OOP, we're only going this Christmas because of Millie and Luke's child. It's his birthday too, and we don't want to miss it. Nathan finally agreed before bed that booking a hotel is the best idea. If we ever have a child, we've already decided we won't be traveling to visit anyone. That's something we've both agreed on for years. To be honest, I wouldn't feel comfortable having John around my child anyway. Mary will probably be upset. We know she wants everyone under one roof. But I appreciate the support. OOP on her father-in-law, John, and his attitude toward who sleeps where. OOP, I really don't understand why John favors Jack and Jill, especially since he usually has the worst things to say about them. We think it might be because they gave some sort of ultimatum about the sleeping arrangements. But John throws up too many red flags. He's never been kind to any of the wives or girlfriends and tends to make inappropriate remarks when we're alone. Luke even thinks his dad is behind the recent drama and that his mom was acting out of character, which I also noticed. There was one time John saw me doing laundry and I told him we'd slept in the bedroom. He made that weird face we all joke about, then turned around, walked off, and slammed his bedroom door. Honestly, everyone, his sons included, just tries to steer clear of John because of how disrespectful he is. He's asked if I wanted to lick his plate before and made comments about my chest. Both times, Mary had to step in and tell him to stop. He also acted strange when Millie was pregnant. He kept touching her feet and took tons of photos while she was giving birth. Later, during their next visit, he streamed those photos on the TV for everyone to see. We weren't there for that, thankfully. Just last year, he made a Facebook post saying something like, "This morning I'm thankful for God's blessings." Mary and the baby are asleep in the playpen in the living room. I have 3 sons and 2 daughters-in-law upstairs. We're safe, warm, and happy. Thank you, Lord. But the thing is, I was there too, and he went out of his way to ask if I'd seen that post. After all of this, we realized John was likely the reason behind the issue. OOP on future Christmas plans and how Mary will find out. OOP, Mary will figure it out when we book a hotel for Christmas. When she asks, we'll be honest and explain why. Not being there for Thanksgiving will reinforce the message too. The ironic part is that my boyfriend is planning to propose around Christmas, and they'll completely miss that moment. I'm thinking I'll suggest he do it when we're out for dinner instead. Update. We ended things 2 weeks before Christmas. After returning from the holidays, we got into a fight. At first, we agreed to try and work through it, and for a little while, things felt like they were getting better. He even mentioned wanting to propose during Christmas, and we picked out a ring together online. But just before placing the order, he paused, let out a sigh, and admitted he wasn't sure about us, then said he wanted to break up. It was heartbreaking in the moment, but honestly, I also felt a sense of relief. Looking back now, I realize I had been holding on to a relationship where I kept sacrificing parts of myself just to make it work. And I was the only one really putting in the effort. A lot of people had called me a doormat in the comments of my last post, and while it hurt, they weren't wrong. I spent years going above and beyond for him and his family. This breakup became the wake-up call I didn't know I needed. Since then, I've moved back to Tennessee to stay with some friends. And yes, I know it's soon, but I've met someone new, and I genuinely like him. Some might say it's too fast, but honestly, I emotionally checked out of my last relationship long before it officially ended. I'm still healing from everything my ex put me through, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finding myself again and remembering what a healthy relationship should feel like. Surprisingly, this Christmas was filled with joy. I spent Christmas Eve with friends and my new boyfriend, and I even got to meet his mom. On Christmas Day, he came with me to meet my family. It turned out to be one of the best holidays I've had in a very long time. Comments. Commenter. I just read the whole story and I'm really glad you got out of a relationship that made you unhappy, especially with such a dysfunctional family involved. But, come on. You went from not being able to stand up for yourself and constantly accommodating your ex and his family, even while picking out rings when you say you were already emotionally checked out, to immediately starting a new relationship? Why are you so afraid of being alone? You should take time for yourself, seek therapy and focus on healing. This is how so many women fall into harmful or toxic relationships. They leave one situation where they were treated poorly, make a major life change, and then fall headfirst into a too good to be true new romance. You need to love yourself first. People are saying it's too soon because, honestly, it is. With your patterns and personality traits, this could easily become another messy situation down the road. OOP's response. I spent 6 years in that relationship. I've earned the right to pursue happiness on my own terms. I've been in therapy regularly for the past 3 years and have done a lot of personal growth during that time. I'm very aware of the choices that led me into that unhealthy dynamic. The relationship started to fall apart about a year and a half ago, largely because I began standing up for myself and setting boundaries. I held on to hope that things would change, but they only did temporarily. That cycle of false hope is what kept me stuck. It wasn't until the relationship truly ended that I could see how unfairly I had been treated. Distance from my support network made it hard to recognize what was happening in the moment. I do love myself, whether I'm in a relationship or not. Yes, I can be overly kind and forgiving, but I'd rather accept those traits than let the world turn me bitter. I genuinely like who I am. As for the new relationship, I'm taking it slow. I really like him, but I'm not rushing. He knows what I've been through, and I know his past too. This isn't a rebound. I only date someone if I see real long-term potential. He gives me the space I need, and we're building something with understanding and intention. He went through a similar situation over a year ago, so he gets it. I also now have a strong support system, friends and family who care about me and won't hesitate to point out red flags. We've had open conversations about our values and goals, and we're aligned in what we want for the future. I truly do understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate your concern. It's just that no post can fully capture the depth of a situation. Everyone heals at their own pace. I feel ready to move on maybe earlier than most would, but that doesn't mean I'm rushing blindly. I know nothing is guaranteed, but I'm willing to take the risk. My ex and I had a great relationship for the first couple of years, but I'm not going to let that history keep me afraid of love forever.